Greetings to everybody. Today I have chosen the reading from Rev Daaji given on January 21st, 2023. It was exactly what we left off with Babuji Maharaj's message, and this was a little bit more clear for all of us to understand, so I chose this one instead. And this topic is about human to humane to divine. And if we heard Daji over the years, the one thing that he always has talked about is, he said, even when Rama was in the forest, they always talked about consciousness and this expansion of consciousness and trying to understand from our level how to understand this state of consciousness. What is this consciousness? Yeah, intellectually we know it has the mind, ego, intellect, and they're all refined and the consciousness expands. But what does it mean to us, normal human beings? So when I read this article and Babuji's message, the understanding I had, I thought I will share with all of us so we can all meditate deeply. It is all in the level of our awareness. The awareness in the example, when everything came from the center divine. So everything, including the rock, every particle in this universe has that essence of that divine or godly particle, as you called. So what is the consciousness? So consciousness exists everywhere. It is the level of our awareness that makes it what it is. So at the level of the rock, it has still the godly particle, but it's almost like God is sleeping in rock. There's nothing there. It is a no mind zone in the rock. And the next level is plants. It is at some level of subconscious states where they have the feeling, they feel things, but nothing beyond that. And the next level is the animal levels of consciousness, where like babies, children, animals, if the owner is gone for a long time, they don't know the time. So that is one level of consciousness. But complete consciousness is the level of the human because of the awareness. But if our actions are so gross that we are unaware of anything, then we are at the subconscious levels. And again, if you move to the superconscious level, that is the divinized being. From consciousness, conscious level, awareness of conscious level, to superconscious level, where the human being is so refined and has the divine qualities. And then again, we move to the no mind zone. That is the divine zone, because divinity, that ultimate, has no mind per se. So that is why when in Lalaji talks about state of thumb at the lowest level, state of thumb at the highest level. At the lowest level in the rock, almost divinity is sleeping. At the highest level in the divine itself, divinity is in a state of ignorance in the being where there is no awareness. It's automated. Everything is automated. So let us try to understand what Daji is explaining this concept about. So when in meditation, what are we trying to do? Is we are trying to be aware. First, when we close our eyes, we are only aware of our thoughts and our feelings and our frustrations and our problems. So we are making efforts to observe. Oh, this is what I am. My awareness is all my problems. My awareness is only outward, going external. And then gradually, as we go through cleansing techniques and we are diverting more, we are moving inward. Our awareness is moving to inward state of that feeling. And now we are gradually letting go, learning to let go. And when we learn to let go, we are moving to witness. And there still we have this state of where you are the witness, you are witnessing something and you are waiting. But when you transcend because of transmission, you move from that state of that awareness, it has moved to state of ignorance now. That is the state of thumb. That is the state of transcendence. And now, bingo, you are lost. So for this to happen, by listening, it is not going to happen. By reading, it is not going to happen. By worshipping externally, it is not going to happen. By saying the bhajan, it is not going to happen. By singing a song and sankirtan, it's not going to happen. The only way it can happen is by training the mind's awareness, shifting it to that inner state, witness to beyond, transcendence. So this is the journey. And in this journey, in this process of witnessing, all the knots we observe, we watch them, we watch their performance, we watch their negative performance of losing temper, we watch their positive performance of compassion inside ourselves. It is not in others we are watching. The exercise is to watch inside ourselves. And as we journey and journey, as we master ourselves in this journey, by simple act of being aware and transcending that awareness. This is our journey. This is our job. So the only way this happens is by meditation. But in no way meditation makes us ineffective. In no way meditation makes us lazy or not participate or contribute to the world. We become more efficient. That is why if you look at Daaji, his efficiency is amazing. It looks like he's not doing anything, but he's doing so much. So that should happen to each one of us. We cannot hide under, oh, I'm meditating, I don't want to do anything, I just want to be this as long as I'm feeling peace. To whatever our capacity is, we contribute to the good of this universe. So let us see what he's saying in Daji's words. The theme of this seminar is human to humane to divine. Very interesting. And Babaji used to call this sequence of advancement from animal man to human to divine. I will not go in very much detail, but I will highlight a few points which you all can discuss. To my understanding, the whole sequence human to humane to divine is due to the different degree of awareness in all. This is what I try to explain. The awareness of the rock, the awareness of the trees, the awareness of the animals, the awareness of the human, and the awareness of the divinity. The awareness in human, humane, and divine are of different degree. That is, what is the difference is the frequency of the vibration. That's one thing to be remembered. And why does it manifest like that? So this is the second topic of discussion for you all. What is the difference between human, humane, and divine as far as our journey through the various chakras? For example, the chakras below the heart, the chakras of the heart region, and the chakras beyond the heart. They are also related to human, humane, and divine. I'm giving you this as a hint. So the chakras below the heart, the lower chakras, are also exist in animals. So that is the lowest level. So when a human being, and what is this animalistic qualities? What does think about? Anytime you think of an element or animals, think about their qualities. What do they survive on? Animals, they only eat, they try to dominate, or they try to reproduce. These are the qualities. So as long as we only possess those, we are still at the animalistic level. So this is how our thinking needs to go. Say if I'm thinking about anger, what is the element involved with that? Fire. What is the quality of the fire or the nature of the fire? In right temperatures, it gives food, good food. It cooks properly. Even if a little overdose, it burns. An extra dose, it can destroy and it can leave a scar. But in the right doses, it can bring transformation. So that is how our thinking should be. So it's the degree of awareness and our place in the journey in this spiritual anatomy that you are all gifted with by Babuji Maharaj. In very clear terms, we share the chakras below the heart with animals: dogs, cats, tigers, lions, and birds. We humans share the same three chakras, namely Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, and Manipura. There is no English equivalent, but they are the names of the plexus. In humans and in some animals, they have this level opening of the heart, the Hridaya chakra. They remain very affectionate, and that means the heart chakra has evolved to a larger extent. Example, in dogs, they're very affectionate because along with these bottom three chakras, the heart chakra has opened in them. At the human level, compassion, kindness, empathy all flow very naturally. The only thing humans do is interfere. How not to express compassion, how not to be kind, and how not to be empathetic. That is based on our defensive nature, the nature of the lower chakras. That is why when either preceptors are cleaning or when we are doing a fear detox, we just very gently clean the lower chakras. As we advance further, we forget ourselves, not just forgetting, but replacing ourselves with the higher entity, the higher self, the source, the center. When we identify ourselves with the center, we don't have to think of being kind. We don't have to think of being empathetic or compassionate. It just happens. Like somebody, if they think they are mad, they are crazy, they don't have to identify themselves. They act like crazy. They behave like crazy. So when we identify ourselves like an animal, just completely stuck in the lower levels of only food, reproduction, and sex and domination, we are in that state of animalhood. That is why the exercise in remembrance, constant remembrance, is connect yourself to the source. I am absorbed in the source. Everything around me is absorbed in the same source. I am in remembrance of that ultimate highest personality. All this is exercises given to us. So we evolve. So our identification of ourselves shifts. Instead of identifying myself, I am a crazy madman, I am identifying myself by saying, I am divine. When we identify ourselves with the center, we don't have to think of being kind. We don't have to think of being empathetic or compassionate. It just happens. When we think that a divine person is sacrificing, to the divine person, it's not a sacrifice. It's their own nature. They can't help but help. So that is why mothers are not aware that they are sacrificing or anything. They just love their baby, they do it. So the master is not thinking that he is sacrificing. He's just doing his part. He's playing his role. Sun is not thinking it's sacrificing. We are looking at it and think that, oh, it is burning itself to give us light. He is rotating, sun is rotating in its axis, being himself. Because he identifies himself with that source. So these are few points. I am leaving it to you to deliberate, discuss, contemplate, meditate upon. And let us all come up with a nice booklet of articles on this particular theme. And this is how Daaji ended. And the next day, he talks about the vision of the masters. And I will begin that also. Babaji Maharaj has revolutionized the system of spirituality. He says it's no longer meant for an ascetic, a sannyasa. He revolutionized it by offering the system to normal people, grihasthas, and made it easy that we can progress at lightning speed. So, by doing our duties properly, we progress. And this is exactly what Lord Krishna talks about in the Gita. Gita is all about karma yoga, doing your part correctly, with bhakti yoga, with love in the heart, performing your duty. Chariji used to say, quoting Babuji, that in order to move from the heart chakra, I took this topic because the other day I made mistake of how long it will take from point 1 to 2. Here it's explained. Chariji used to say, quoting Babuji, that in order to move from the heart chakra, the first point, to the Atma chakra, the second point, it would take 45 years of non-stop practice, that is 24/7. And if you had to move from the second point to the third, which is the fire point, it would take 5 times that. So 45 times 5. How much that would be? 225 years. We don't have such a long life. And from the third to the fourth is 5 times that. 245 times 5. And then 5 times that. So when people say that Vishwamitra meditated for 100,000 years, who has that lifespan? No, actually, it is the equivalent of progressing of 100,000 years within a shorter span of life. In a way, we can also say that Abhyasis have meditated for millions of years because the progress made here is equivalent to that. If you had to count the time through traditional practice, ritualistic practice, it is solely His grace, solely with His hard work. Our cooperation is very little. Close eyes and meditate. How difficult it is to keep your eyes closed. But it has become very difficult for a lot of us. We don't want to close our eyes unless we have the intention of sleeping more. It's a matter of attitude once again. Anyway, he revolutionized it in a way that spiritual and material life must go together. There must be a purpose behind it. So until we arrive at that ultimate thumb state, we have to keep this rajas active to perform. They should be integrated. That is why Sat, Rajas, and Tamas, they're all integrated. They're not separate by itself. In the morning, when we wake up, we are in that state of Tam. As we go through the day, we are in that state of Rajas. There, we try to bring Sat into it. And by the end, we move back to Tam state again. What will you do with Samadhi, the absolute balance state? What is the purpose of Samadhi? It is to work with a meditative state, with a Samadhi-like state in our day-to-day affairs. So the purpose, that is why whatever happens, 6 a.m., meditate for 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever you are, if you can meditate 1 hour, perfect. Because that, with that time span of you bringing your mind's awareness into that state of witnesshood, now the mind is in its absolute balance and it is ready to perform from that level. It's like I've eaten my breakfast in the morning. Until afternoon, I can perform. I don't need anything. I may indulge, but I don't need anything. So this is how the meditation practice is. That is why if we make meditation regularity, we will be able to perform well in the external world. It is to work with the meditative state, with a samadhi-like state in our day-to-day affairs. That is where we differ from many systems. Yesterday, we talked about human to humane to divine. Humane makes efforts in order to arrive at a divine state and lead a life within life. So at the human level, at the humane level, the meditators make efforts to move into the divine state. And Babuji's statement is life in life is the real life. Divine life in a human life is the true life. So if we are able to perform from the state of samadhi, that is true divine life. So how can we live life in life is by meditating every day and arriving at that state of samadhi. So practice regularity. What all? Next 20 days. Take it like 6 a.m. in the morning, I'm meditating. 6 p.m., I'm doing my cleaning. 9 p.m., I'm praying and then saying my bedtime prayer and going to sleep by 10. Wake up again. So see if this clockwork can happen in us automatically. What is this humane life and what is divine life? Humane is all about generosity. That is why to cross into the Brahmanda Mandal, the qualification is of immense generosity of the heart. Not just giving, it's about forgiving, it's about compassion for everybody. The climax of humane is increased generosity. Why and how? When we cross all these chakras, all 5 C's that we all talk about, contentment, calmness, compassion, courage, and clarity, and what becomes at the end of these 5 C's is a heart full of acceptance and generosity. We accept at this moment what is happening to us, and our heart is generous because we are accepting what is happening to us, our sufferings. We are compassionate, we are sympathetic with other people when they are suffering. That is why you don't criticize. The moment you criticize some other girl that she's making a mistake, or think about your own child before you make that comment. Pause. So that is the reason we can never criticize, because we never know when we will face what situation. The more you criticize, the more we add a karma to our account. So God says, okay, let me see how you will face this situation if you are faced the same thing. And then you have to take up that challenge. Why put ourselves through that? So zip the thought of negativity towards others. That is matured human being becoming humane, who 5 C's is a heart full of acceptance and generosity. And when that generosity climaxes further, we become divine. And in this divine adventure, what is the most important thing? It is sacrifice. Yet the person who is sacrificing is not aware they have done such and such thing. Master is not aware that he is sacrificing his time, his efforts, and everything. But he is sacrificing because that becomes your natural nature. When we read the book My Master, there is a great emphasis given to the tolerance and sacrifice of Babuji Maharaj while visiting Abhyasis. But was he himself aware that he was tolerating us? I don't think so. I often try to re emphasize the importance of acceptance. For example, if you tell your spouse, I tolerate you, honey, how does that sound? And when we say Babuji tolerated us, how does it sound? That makes you feel bad that he had to tolerate me. But if he accepted me because I'm his child, and when he accepted me as a child, he accepted me with my pluses and my minuses. So tolerance has no place in heartfulness. Heartfulness is a place full of acceptance and love. A person who tolerates does not have the feeling that they are tolerating, and that is the divine person, the divine Purusha. In spite of doing so much for all of us, he still remains unaware, and he still continues to think, I need to do more and more and more for these people. This state of unawareness, that is the state of thumb, the no mind zone of the divine nature. So the no mind zone of the rock, the no mind zone of the divinity. That is why we are moving from ignorance to ultimate ignorance, complete ignorance. Taking this further, Lalaji would say, I like to take my abhyasis farther than I can reach. I would prefer to stay back and launch them in the higher space. That is the role of the master. That Daji exemplifies with his own presence. He allows everybody to come up and speak while he is still there. And he is the one who bestowed that knowledge and capacity to each one of the functionaries. Yet in his ultimate humility, he sits there and listens to everybody talking, sometimes with ego, sometimes silly. But his dream is to make each one of us better than him. That is the training he gives. That's the role of the master. That doesn't mean that we all cannot do such thing. Instead of putting ourselves in front of master more than our Abhyasi brothers and sisters who have recently joined, Try to bring them to the fore, help them grow even more. Instead of just going by yourself and like, oh, I'm here, master, put somebody else in front of him. Then we can become like masters by helping them more and more. There is no point praising how the masters are helping us. How we in turn help others is the key. That makes us divine. That makes us masterly. And that's why Babuji says, I don't make disciples, I make masters. It's true to its core when we understand the philosophy of the heartfulness with our heart. There is no difference whatsoever when we attend to our Abhyasi brothers and sisters and others. Later on, when we advance further, we don't find the difference at all. In fact, Babuji used to dislike the word non-Abhyasi. He said that we have already created a partition. Consider one and all as our own. So that is why there is no difference between, there is no such thing as life and material life. It is life, life in life. The only thing we have in our hands is the ability to practice, to bring our mind that is in such disturbance, training it to observe with the help of transmission, making it to move to that state of witness, transcend that state of witness to nothing, no nothing zone, no mind zone, and rest and vibrate in the same frequency of the source. And when we come out of it, that state of absolute balance, that state of absolute balance is what is performing in the world with no difference of spiritual life or material life. It is all one. This day you act according to the need of this moment. You respond. That is why it is not a reaction. It is responding from the heart's field. And for this, the exercise is to bit by bit observe ourselves, get rid of the weaknesses, and keep moving. So let us all now meditate.